Okay. You guys want to hear one of my favorite commercials? This one's my very favorite. Okay, so it's a luxury commercial for Mercedes. And there's classical music playing in the background, like orchestra music. And so it's like a symphony. And you're inside the interior of a very sleek black Mercedes-Benz, black leather interior. And the windows are rolled up, and so you can hear the sound really well. You can hear the instruments, and you're sort of lost inside the music. And you can see out the windows because the camera's pointing out these endless streams of all the way in season cornfields. And along with the music, it's just very serene. It's very peaceful. And suddenly, lost into the music, you see the crops. They corner out. You don't see outside the car, you don't see the tires move, you just see the crops corner out, and the car makes a right-hand turn, going a new direction. Still looking at crops, but just in a different way. Finally, the car comes to a stop. For the very first time, you see outside the car, looking diagonal from behind it, at an angle like this, you see a black Mercedes-Benz is at a dead end in the center of a cornfield, where there's corn on its left, corn in front of it, and corn on its right. The end of a dirt field. With a very slow motion, luxurious effect. You see a close-up version of the car door open, the driver's side car door. Music you can hear. And you don't see his face, but you see a man in a very nice suit get out. He takes off his jacket and he lays it on the passenger side seat. And with a distant view from the front now, not the back, you can see a very tall, muscular build of this man with a white shirt, black pants, light blue tie walk past the front of the hood of his Mercedes, and then you see his hand drift across the hood, and the camera does a close-up just as it passes the star emblem. And it stays with him as he goes over to a portion of the corn crops, and he reaches into the cornfield and pulls out a cob of corn. And with his other hand, he reaches in his pocket, and you see a close-up of his hand reaching into his slacks. And you see him pull out his keys to his car. Attached to his keys is this ebony, leather-bound, miniaturized star, the same star emblem to his car, but miniaturized, and in an accessible star bound in leather. And with his thumb, he presses it out of its relatively stable position, but it's open on one end and closed on the back end that hooks to the ring of his keys, and he presses it out of its stationary position, and he flicks it in the air. The camera catches in slow motion this silver star sliding into the air, catching all layers of sunlight. And then the camera view changes to being on the ground with him in the background, arms still outstretched, and silver star drifting towards it. And with a rounded lens that the camera on the ground has, you can see the sky behind him. You can see both fields, both sides, and you see his arm outstretched because it's with a slightly rounded lens. Well, then suddenly the star lands just in the dust right in front of the camera, lifting up dust particles, and his arm lowers, and he's in slow motion walks back to his car. And the second the car door closes, everything changes. It turns into semi-fast motion, and you see him go zzz, zzz, and leave, and then the sky starts to move around, and pretty soon you see the sun set and the stars come out and they start diving around one another, and they start crisscrossing all over the sky. Well, just as it becomes dawn once more, everything slows back down. Not all the way, it doesn't go all the way back to normal, but it goes into a lesser version of being so fast. And you see these clouds in the sky sort of drifting around slowly. And you see this, at the end of the dirt road, there's this old man in overalls walking towards you. He's obviously the owner of the cornfields. Well, he's doing a funny kind of waddle walk because he's still in semi-fast motion. And he, at the last second, slows down right as it shows him as if drawn to this star emblem. He bends down and picks up this star. And you see him with his old wrinkly leather face, like look at it in close up, and then he gets like this grin. Then when he turns around, he puts it in his back pocket, and the camera zooms in on his back pocket so close that everything fades out to black. And then it shows him walking away from the camera, and time has passed, and he's walking into his son's bedroom. And it's, you can tell time has passed because there's his window right there, and it's all the way dark. So his son, all excited, he sits up in his bed, you know, like his dad's in the room. They don't talk much, you know, because he's so busy. Well, he sits up in his bed, and his dad, he sits down. You know, you don't hear what they say because this entire time, music has been playing. It's a very symphonic commercial. It's based on mood only. Well, he says something to him, and then he leans over and whispers something to him, and then the son, well, he gets a bright look on his face. And the daddy reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out this silver Mercedes-Benz star emblem. And he gives it to him, and you see it in his son's hand, close it and clench it. And then the dad, very happy, he stands up and he walks out of the room, leaving the door partly open. The son, realizing he's alone, you know, he sits up in his bed and he leans out his window. And with a view from just behind his head and watching his arm all the way stretched out, the camera, it zooms in on his fingertips so fast that it's like it shoots it out of his fingertips. And like a star climbing into the sky with stardust trailing behind it, it flies up and then ends up in a very, very distant twinkle. And then the Mercedes-Benz star emblem comes very large on the screen, and then it says, Mercedes-Benz still believes in wishing upon a star. And it fades out. That's my favorite commercial. I wrote it a long time ago. I was on a walk around my neighborhood. And I just learned that I could write for other companies. And so once I learned that I can control it, that's the first commercial that I asked for, and that's the first commercial that I got for Mercedes. So I thought I would share it with you.